So it's no secret we talk on this channel a lot about female transformations as it pertains to them using steroids and the negative consequences of those things. Sometimes the positive consequences, but more or less it is the negative stuff. This video was really interesting to make because I honestly had thought this was two different people. What I'm about to show you, I thought these were two entirely different people. I was wrong. This transformation happened in a matter of months, not the typical years that we usually see when we're talking about these kind of transformations. So before I get too ahead of myself and start talking about things, let's just show you exactly what I'm talking about.
Like many people go through, I experienced an eating disorder. I had been from 16 to 19. I don't respond to people even as much as I would like to. I find that very overwhelming.
A female bodybuilder by the name of Melissa Broadsky had just posted this video that went extremely viral, and it ended up on my feed, and many of you had sent it to me.
So I've always wanted to get like this. I wanted to have veins in my arms all the time and just walk around like that. It's not because I wanted to look like this.
So yeah, clearly you can tell there is some physiological and vocal changes, which I guess physiological, but there are massive changes within this female. Now, why are these changes happening? Why does she have such a deep voice? And please let me tell you, as many people have said in the comments of this video, that she might be a man.
Why are you gay?
Who says I'm gay?
You are gay.
This is a female, 100% female. You see, what's happened is over a span of an undisclosed amount of time, I'm sure it was somewhere around a total of 6 to 7 years. Exact dates are rough here because honestly, she popped up no longer than 2021. I mean, it was really vague because her social media presence literally started in 2021. You really can't find much going back beyond that. But anyways, this transformation was something that took place over what I would assume to be 6 to 7 years of pure steroid usage. We're talking Anavar, we're talking Primobolan, we're talking derivatives of testosterone, the male hormone that women are using to enhance their physiques. Now, the consequences to this action is that these hormones act on the androgen receptor. They communicate with the nucleus of a cell and tell that nucleus to commit to some kind of DNA transcription. Now, the positive part of that is part of that transcription tells the body to maintain or recycle nitrogen, and the other part of it, unfortunately, the bad part, is the secondary male characteristics that females do develop. The thickening of vocal folds, the sharpening of one's brow and jaw ridge. You get a couple of changes that aren't necessarily desired. Other things are sebaceous glands excreting more sebum and causing acne, hair loss, hair follicle miniaturization. We've talked about all of these things before. Some of them are good, like bone mineral density improving, muscle mass increasing, cross-sectional area of a muscle expanding. Great stuff. Some of them are very negative, which unfortunately women specifically are very subjective to those negative consequences. This is what you get as a product of long-term exposure to specific steroids. Now, I want to back up and show you where I personally saw the first videos of Melissa. And that was in a very simple interview with BuffCake22, a very small channel, 980 subscribers. She did a brief interview with her where she was talking about how she won her pro card. In this interview, they discussed going back and forth, how she started bodybuilding so young, what got her into it, so on and so forth. This is a whole video talking about her career path.
So I played field hockey from the time I was 8 till I was 18. That was always my main sport. I went to a very athletic school. Along with field hockey, I ran track. I played a little bit of lacrosse, but that was the girls there are really good at lacrosse. And I started a little bit later, so that never stuck. Yeah. And then when I was around 13, 14, I started weight training. I went to the gym with my dad. So I told my parents I wanted some instruction, and they said, okay, get you a trainer, but you need a goal. I didn't have any idea what, competing was at that point. It wasn't really big on Instagram yet as far as, what I saw. This was 2013. And then I think I competed for the first time in 2014. Yeah. Ever since I was 16, it stuck. I fell in love with it.
So you competed for the first time at 17 then?
Yep, in bikini.
In this video, as you can tell, she talks about going to a very athletic high school, having a lot of competitive sports, and then getting into weightlifting fairly young. Not only that, she started competing at 17 years old, entering her first bodybuilding competition as a bikini competitor. It didn't take her too long to continue to climb the ladder in bodybuilding, getting bigger and bigger and bigger, until at age 23, she won her pro card. Now, she won her pro card in a division called figure, which is a much bigger category than was bikini and what is now becoming a new category, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it is what it is. Fit model or something like that. I don't even know the actual category's name. Anyways, we progress. As you can hear in this video, her voice is drastically different from where she is now.
Yeah, and then when I was around 13, 14, I started weight training. I went to the gym with my dad. So I told my parents I wanted some instruction, and they said, okay, get you a trainer, but you need a goal.
So I've always wanted to get like this. Like, I wanted to have veins in my arms all the time and like just like walk around like that. It's not because I wanted to look like this.
Now I'm going to show you something that's even crazier. Let's compare an interview that she did a few months after this one, just a few months after this one, with the same channel, and you could hear if there's any changes.
First of all, I've been having so much fun doing the photo shoots. I've done like some videos over the past 6 months with Brandon Walsh and his crew, and I'm having like a freaking blast with it. It's really amazing. When I see those pictures, I mean, I'm blown away. I mean, I'm like, that's me. Like, I've created that. Like, that's like, it's just as amazing as if you were looking at another person, and to see that it's you and to know what you've put into it and to have this representation of that that's there forever. It's amazing. I mean, that's the only way I can describe it. It's just as if you're looking at someone else and saying, wow, I genuinely say that about myself. I'm impressed with myself.
So the first video that we discovered where she was talking about her journey to getting her pro card at 23 years old, that was posted in 2021, March 1st. The second video is in 2021, August 1st. That is a total of 5 months of a difference. 5 months.
Like many people go through, I experienced an eating disorder. I had been from 16 to 19. I never really let off of like prepping my food and stuff. I mean, I had times when I did, but it became like really almost obsessive. Like in high school, it was easier for me to kind of back off. But then once I got to college and I was like alone, it became a lot more difficult for me.
I don't respond to people even as much as like I would like to. I find that very overwhelming. Even people who I feel like I've created relationships with, I sometimes just like don't look at my DMs. You know, I was actually thinking about this yesterday. For anyone who would get frustrated that I don't reply, I just want to say, if it were you, would you reply to hundreds of messages a day?
Now, in the latter video, she is 1 week out from the Tampa Pro. So you could assume that she's probably taking as much pharmaceuticals as a person would be taking going into a show, being 1 week out from a show. But even still, to have this drastic change in both your voice and facial features is staggering. And this is exactly why I initially thought that these interviews were conducted by two different people. I thought there was two IFBB pros that were both named Melissa Brodsky, but I couldn't find the answer. I looked everywhere on the internet. I looked everywhere to try to find the two different IFBB pros because I was convinced there's no way a female could have this drastic of a change so quickly. And that's where I came across this post on Facebook. It was from Anytime Fitness congratulating her on her IFBB Pro card, her secured win. They say that while she was working as a trainer and going to school full time, she kept working hard with her goal in sight. I think we can all agree that there was a little bit more than just hard work going on here.
You need to leave!
Look, don't be rude, right? I'm telling myself don't be rude. There's a lot that goes into a bodybuilding prep and a whole career in bodybuilding, let alone steroids, unfortunately, don't do everything for you. You do have to put forth a astronomical, diabolical amount of work, but it doesn't take away from the fact that the girl's saucing quite a bit. So this post confirmed to me, because they linked her to the post, that this is the same person. There's another thing that I found out that also gave me the indication that it's the same person. In the beginning of the first interview, where they started to talk about how she got into bodybuilding at 17 years old and so on, the very beginning, she has a dog on screen. Looks like a golden retriever. As I was scrolling through her different social media profiles, trying to figure out who this individual was and trying to figure out the two who I thought were different individuals, I saw very clearly on TikTok, she had a post of her playing with this exact same golden retriever, which was a definite nail in the coffin that these two interviews were the same person talking, and not even that this person was in an interview, then in a subsequent interview, completely changed, and then several years later, furthermore changed in the process of bodybuilding. And this is honestly a whole situation that collectively suddenly got me really concerned. I had to question what was happening in the protocol of this female. What was she doing that was so powerfully changing her body, her voice, and her life? Now, albeit the protocol worked, whatever it was, it worked because she got her IFBB Pro card relatively soon within her career. She made herself a career, started to collect an income doing this as a full-time gig. That's a huge win, but obviously the cost was extreme. So whether the protocol worked or not wasn't really my concern. It was, what the hell was she taking? And that's when I realized that she was coached by Shelby Starns, someone who's been in the Washington Post and investigated several times before. Now, if you don't know, we're going into some deeper history here, stuff I've covered in the past of this channel, people I've talked to in the past, and the days of the, what I would call, golden era within the chemical warfare side of bodybuilding, longevity, and biohacking. But Leo and longevity. He's a guy who was in some trouble himself. He also may have been murdered, but that's alleged, and for another video that we've already made, which was really long, well planned out. It did really well, actually. Great video. Highly suggest you go watch it. Cool stuff there. But beyond that, Leo and Longevity, the channel, was focused on that. Longevity, biohacking, bodybuilding. He discussed this on a podcast, actually. Talked about Shelby Starns and his protocols, specifically. What they were comprised of. He was talking to one of the friends of a gal who passed away under Shelby's tutelage.
I mean, I'm trying to think of the best of this guy, but like, I don't understand how you could do this to so many people.
Well,
and
yeah, he's had people run up to 200 MCGs a Clan and 120, 150 T3.
Hey, that's
No,
one
I just got an
question.
email 180 T3 for 8 weeks.
180 T3.
And two plus hours of cardio, plus 180, 200 micrograms of Clen, plus 600 milligrams of DNP.
Oh my
What the
God.
hell?
So he had some girls use DNP too?
Yeah, I have the protocol. This is the
Oh
most
my
recent person that
God,
just
this
messaged
guy's
me.
even worse than I thought.
No, but the just for the audience to know, T3 directly raises your heart rate. That's why we like this thing called GC1, which is a peptide factor. It directly raises your heart rate. When I take 25 milligrams of T3 in the morning, my heart rate is like 10 beats higher. If I then went to exercise for 2 hours, my heart will develop fibrosis in it, scar tissue, and grow. Now, if I did that and took Clen and I took 150 micrograms of T3, that's insane. That's a death recipe.
This isn't just for like a week or two. We're talking stints of like 8 to 12 weeks.
The damage to the heart will never go away. I can tell you for sure.
That's why Jody is 30 and needs open heart surgery.
My God.
Now, in this video, a lot of this stuff is alleged, so I am not going to be the guy to sit here and say, this is exactly what happened. But there is at least 4 individuals who were coached by Shelby who, within pretty rapid succession, died. And there isn't a clear indication as to entirely why, but some of the protocols on this video were released. For example, doing well over 200 micrograms of clenbuterol, 150 micrograms of T3, which Boston was talking about himself here, who also passed away. It's really kind of a shitty situation. We're talking about a lot of people who passed away here. But anyways, the moral of the story, Shelby does extreme protocols. And I think girls go to him for those protocols. They know what they're getting, but they want to win. They want to be bigger. As we started on this video talking about the Instagram video that went viral that Melissa had made. She wanted to always be bigger. She always wanted to have veins. She always wanted to be that girl. Here's the thing. In this case, Melissa might have actually known what she was getting into. She might have have looked in the mirror and said, hell yeah, this is worth it. But for people watching this, you're not Melissa. And I think we can both agree the transformation that we just witnessed in a matter of 5 months is radical. I mean, that is actually insane. I couldn't believe it. Maybe she's happy with it. Maybe there was nights that she spent alone where she cried about her vocal changes and her facial changes and a lot more. And what making these videos means to me and so many other people is, I guess, showing that you can't rewind the tape once things go too far. It is that Melissa made these changes before she was even 23 years old, and now she has to wear them for the next 40, 50, possibly 60 years. The truth is, which a lot of the individuals we've talked about on this channel, I feel like their roots started in the, let me just dabble in PEDs, thinking that they'll just do it for a little bit and then they'll get out. But that typically continues for years and years and years, and the dabbling and I'm just going to get out attitude turns into a lifestyle and something that someone has to do to fulfill some internal monologue, or the walled garden I often talk about. The people that surround them are giving them so much positive reinforcement that it's not even seen as a negative thing. They just keep going. It's a train without brakes. So seeing this small, albeit, we don't have a whole timeline here because really her advent into social media was 2021, so right when she won her pro card. Small transformation, but radical transformation. Ask yourself, when you're thinking about stepping into this world, are you ready for the costs? Both male and female here. I'm not talking just one specific thing. I'm talking about both genders. Do you have a coach who truly wants to protect you? Are you ready to live a life that has 40 years down the road? I mean, 60 years old with that skin aging, vocal changes, all of that stuff on your back? Melissa's transformation is extreme, but what makes it important is to show you what really happens when somebody tries to reach the furthest ends of freaky. Their desired look is abnormal. It's clearly not just muscles. It's vocal changes. It's facial changes. Her jawline got bigger. Her brow ridge got enlarged. Hormones wrecked. Sex drive flipped. Fertility trashed. And a mirror that at the end of the day might actually never show that she's enough. So while I can't say this video is necessarily a hit piece or anything like that, it's just to show you the trajectory of what happens when you use steroids as a female, or anybody, again, for that matter. PEDs can absolutely change your life. They can do insane things. They can build careers. We saw it with the controversy of Husan Fart Hat and Greg Doucette recently. Like, there was possibly a situation where he used PEDs to leverage his fame and infamy. That's great stuff. But there's also extreme costs that one puts themselves at the other end of when they go down this route. The thing that I think so many people think, and the reason I make this video isn't for Melissa. It isn't for the bodybuilders out there, because they already understand. They're already in that walled garden. So they're going to see this as negative stuff. They're going to see this as a negative hit piece and just a shitty video to be making about somebody. What I'm making this video for is people who don't know that steroids have alternative effects. They don't just enhance your physique. They don't just change your muscles. They change you. That little bit of Anavar your friend said might be a good idea. Not a good idea. Like, you are going to be taking a male hormone, and that male hormone will be changing you in some capacity. It is acting on the androgen receptor, the one that made me have a penis, and the one that makes whatever. I'm gonna leave it there, but you get what I'm trying to say, right? For fuck's sakes, you need to choose what you're doing wisely, because there is very large consequences to these things. As trivial and as fun as people might make it seem on the internet, it's not all that. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. It means the world to me, and I want to grow this channel strong and keep making videos for you guys as much as I possibly can. Secondly, there's a GoFundMe link down below. You can check it out. I don't want to explain why it's there. Just go read the story. I've said it enough, and if you're new here, I'm sorry for my whimsical nature of this. It's just, I've said the story a lot, and I don't want to be the woe is me kind of guy, right? Like, it doesn't really matter. But anyways, I appreciate you. I hope all is well in your life. We'll see you in the next video.